Welcome back to the Rise with Anita Podcast, or welcome if you're new here. So, this is actually becoming the space where ambition meets embodiment. And today I want to offer you a simple reframe that might shift everything. You might not be actually burned out, but perhaps you are actually dysregulated. But before we dive further, please go ahead and take a breath with me. And if you have the ability to, just maybe feel your feet on the floor. Feel the comfort and the steadiness that's beneath you. And just place one hand on your heart. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly for 4. Hold for 2. And exhale for 6. One more time. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale through the mouth for 6. And allow your body to arrive. And I've been doing this in my own life. I call these little transition breaths. So sometimes when I'm finished with a Zoom call or finished with recording, I take time to take a breath. And it helps me as I'm diving into my next task or as I'm going from one environment to the other into a different conversation. So just remember, you always have your breath. But here's the thing. Going back to the topic of today's episode, I work with and I am surrounded by a lot of high-achieving women. So I hear a lot about, I think I'm falling into burnout. I don't care the way I used to. I'm just tired of everything. And here's the thing. Burnout suggests that you're losing your passion and maybe it's time for a pivot. And in some cases that might be true. But a lot of times I would really counter that thought with you're actually dysregulated. Because your dysregulation actually means that your nervous system has been running in survival a little too long. And those are not the same thing. Burnout is more about being done. I am done with this. I'm tired. I need to move on. I need to pivot. Dysregulation is more about I have been in the energy of bracing. I have been running myself ragged. And here's what no one really talks about. You can be successful, disciplined, visible, in quote-unquote alignment, perceived alignment. And it can still look like survival mode because you're still in this energy of taking on a little too much responsibility, struggling to rest, being the strong one, feeling wired but exhausted, productivity followed by collapse, whether that's being sick or needing to rest and being so tired that you can't come out of bed. So here's the thing. Your body has adapted to pressure. So achievement, being needed, performance, all get tied to safety. And here is one thing I want to say. This is especially true for women because we tend to overgive. And a lot of times the statement is you can't pour from an empty cup. And I had this thought challenge today, which was women are especially good at pouring from an empty cup because they can go all the way until the cup has nothing left to give. So here's the thing. You'll get to a place where one day it just no longer works. Right? You're no longer motivated. You feel flat, dull, disconnected. And it's not laziness. It's your nervous system asking for relief. It's your nervous system asking to recognize that it needs your support. And dysregulation doesn't always look very dramatic. Sometimes it can literally look like I just have the urge to scroll right now. Because here's what they're doing tests on. The phones and the technology behind it is actually similar to the sensation of being at a casino. So it's meant to give you that dopamine hit and continue to have you attached to your cell phone. So you'll find yourself scrolling when you intended to create, avoiding the things that you actually want because you just cannot get yourself out of that survival mode to actually do the action that you need to do. How many of us, side note, have actually had these little bats of random agitation, irritation? You might have something small happen and the reaction you give is way bigger than what it needed to be in that moment. I know I have. Feeling behind, even if you're ahead and you're quote unquote productive. Having the sense of wanting to disappear, to take a vacation, to just get out of your situation, your environment, because you feel overwhelmed by it. That's often a shift from fight or flight into freeze. And freeze in a lot of high achievers actually looks like I've lost my drive, or it gets misinterpreted as I've lost my drive. But it's really your body conserving energy. Because when you think about it, we only have so much energy to give. So if you're feeling like you're operating straight out of survival mode, you're not going to be able to continue on. So we've touched on a lot. This episode is borderline heavy. I'm going to ask you to take a moment to reset with me. Just take a pause. Look around you. Name 3 things you see in your environment. So for me right now, behind my camera, I have a whiteboard and a bookshelf and a lamp. Notice the sound, if there's any. Take one long breath and exhale. And this is simply what regulation really is. It's slowing down. It's not pushing. You're in the energy of just being present in this moment. And that creates safety. So here's something important. Dysregulation often comes up right before your next level. In fact, I would dare to say that it's actually a sign that your next level is on the way. Because expansion always feels unsafe. Why? Because our nervous systems are doing its best job to keep us safe and protected. And it doesn't recognize necessarily that your goals, your dreams, your aspirations are what you want. It's not in your comfort zone. So for your body, it's trying to have you stay safe, stay calm. It's being protective. Your nervous system is trying to pump the brakes because it's unfamiliar. And remember, your body cares more about your survival than it does your goals. So instead of the next time this comes up for you asking, well, what's wrong with me? I'm going to ask you to get curious. What would make my body feel safer right now? Do a body scan in these moments and ask, where do I feel the discomfort? What are you looking for? what do you feel like? Can you give me a word? And your body will answer because it has the answers. And I want you to pay attention because I said, what would make my body feel safer right now? Because you want to bring it into the present moment. Not next month, not next week, not tomorrow, now. So that could look like I need to go on a short walk. Maybe I need to get off my computer desk and do a little dance break. Maybe I need to start eating before I drink my caffeine. Maybe I need to practice saying no. And for this point, I want to remind you guys, it can start off very small. And it could be just, no, I don't want to do that. Or no, I don't want that. But start communicating your no's. Maybe that looks like logging off earlier before your brain is fried so you're not in a loop of overworking. But these small safety signals end up changing everything. It becomes safety before scale. So here's the thing though. If your identity has been wrapped up in, I am the strong one, I don't stop, I am the one that everybody needs, I can handle it all, slowing down is going to feel absolutely terrifying for you. And it's going to make you realize that, oh my gosh, I am not knowing how to survive. And so I want you, instead of judging that part, to honor it. Honor her. Slow down and recognize, yes, this is a stretch right now. Yes, I'm uncomfortable. Because one thing we often forget is when we are in this pattern of unwiring, it can actually start to cause us to go from one aspect of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response to the other. So gentle, be present. It doesn't require more endurance. It requires you to be more regulated as you're changing. More steadiness energy, creating that internal safety. And it's the energy of stability. So let's close this together. Feet on the ground. Take a long inhale. Hold for 2. And take a long exhale and sigh. Whisper to yourself, I don't have to survive this season. And this is just a reminder, you are not broken, you are not behind. Might be a little dysregulated, but that's okay. Because now you have the awareness to start to bring attention to your body. And that is something we can work on. So, I'll see you in the next episode. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. And this is just a reminder that safety starts in the body. Nervous system work is the key to leadership moving forward. And I'm so excited for what we're doing with this season. So if you guys need any support, please feel free to reach out. And that's it for this episode.